اللهم صل وسلم وبارك على سيدنا محمد وعلى آله عدد إنام الله وإفتالي. أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم. Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. We now turn to the creation of Mikael Alaihissalam, who is, so to speak, the brother of Jibreel Alaihissalam. We seek to understand the creation of Mikael Alaihissalam, who is perhaps the angel most involved with humanity. Mikael Alaihissalam is connected in some way to everything humanity needs. In this regard, and as we shall see when discussing the prophets who were tasked with carrying the light of Muhammad until the arrival of the Prophet Muhammad ﷺ, whenever the presence of Mikael Alaihissalam reappeared, he was often disliked or spoken of ill, especially among corrupted religions. Mikael Alaihissalam is also an angel who is referred to by different names in other religions. As you know, when describing the angel Jibreel Alaihissalam, we stated that he is the secret book of Allah, referring to the secret of Allah Almighty. Since there is a secret, it must be organized and protected, for a secret is not a pleasant thing. Until the Messenger of Allah came, there was the carrying of the light of Muhammad. Until the noble Quran came, there was the protection of the people of Islam. The events surrounding the other prophets had to be organized. All this organization is the responsibility of Mikael Alaihissalam. Naturally, we are talking about an angel who is responsible for both organizing and protecting. While performing this duty, of the 18,000 realms, Mikael Alaihissalam is responsible for 12,000 of these. His influence is naturally seen in 3,000 of the 9,000 realms. In his role of organizing the other realms, there are many great angels under his command. The wing of Mikael Alaihissalam, who is the brother of Jibreel Alaihissalam, is, so to speak, like the equivalent of the cloud that floats above the Prophet Muhammad ﷺ. Because of this analogy, angels have unfortunately been symbolized in corrupted religions as human or animal figures with bird wings attached to their backs. Although this symbolism is not correct, the wings on their backs are figures that have emerged as a result of a close relationship with birds flying in the sky and clouds. They are in fact associated with birds because the events they performed on Earth in the past were generally natural phenomena occurring in the sky, such as the flood of Noah, floods and earthquakes. Therefore, people claimed they had wings. Of course, angels do have wings, but are they as depicted today? No, they're not. It is not possible to liken them directly to birds. Each one's existence and structure is completely different. It is necessary to understand the creation of Mikael Alaihissalam well, because we are again going to the moment of the light of Muhammad Alaihissalam. We had mentioned nothingness before a light, if you remember. We had mentioned the necessity of a mass existing in nothingness for matter to be visible around us. It is like a mass without a volume. It is the previous state of the atom before it becomes visible, which will be observable in space when the time comes. Since every light is present and ready for all matter that can be created after it, nothingness exists. Therefore, it is created from the nothingness immediately before the light. From the moment this light struck the Lawh al-Mahfuz, Mikael Alaihissalam, who was acquainted with the Lawh's secret, was hence created in this manner. So we are referring to the very next moment after Mikael Alaihissalam of another fragment of the same moment. With the event that occurred the moment he touched the Lawh al-Mahfuz, and with the secret within the Lawh al-Mahfuz, as of his first task, Mikael Alaihissalam gave thanks for every word he saw, especially for those of the great prophets, for the events that would unfold, for what would befall people, but above all, for encountering the mercy and compassion of Allah Almighty. In other words, he began the first moment of his life with gratitude, so to speak. He counted the countless names of Allah Almighty that we cannot even count today, and never stopped until the name of Ya Muta'ali. At that moment he reached the name Ya Muta'ali, which, as you know, carries a meaning greater than anything the mind can conceive. He saw the neediness of matter, and at that moment prostrated himself in gratitude to his Lord for 1,000 years. This prostration of gratitude served as the means for him being assigned the duty of meeting the needs of the world. The answer to the question of what stopped him at that moment and why he stopped at that point is the light of Muhammad, of the Messenger of Allah Alaihissalam. In other words, it is an aspect of the light of Muhammad that Mikael Alaihissalam was physically stopped at the name Ya Muta'ali. It is, so to speak, the Messenger of Allah being used as a means to teach Mikael Alaihissalam something. Of course, this was by the permission of Allah Almighty. So, because he was created in this manner, he is the guardian of the Lawh al-Mahfuz, that is, the preserved fate. The guardianship of all the beauties that will exist in the Lawh al-Mahfuz and everything that will lead to beauty is entrusted to Mikael Alaihissalam. However, there is also the task of organizing, the task of arrangement, because everything protected needs to be put into order. Along with this comes a matter of customs. Therefore, we can describe the duties of Mikael Alaihissalam as being protective, arranging and implementing established customs. After understanding the protection part, let's move on to the arrangement part. In the arrangement of the sacred, Mikael Alaihissalam performed duties at every stage of the historical process. He even went to give a lesson to Yusuf Alaihissalam. While Yusuf Alaihissalam was in prison, during a difficult moment, he went to him in the form of a prison guard and declared the truth of Allah, that he had never forgotten him and would never forget him. You will recall the story between Jibreel Alaihissalam and Yusuf Alaihissalam. But before that, Mikael Alaihissalam had also come to Yusuf Alaihissalam's aid during those times when he was having those dreams. We will explain that in more detail in this program, inshallah. Mikael Alaihissalam also played a role in the diversification of animals. In the world we live in today, for example, the varieties of crocodiles, the varieties of snakes, and the unique characteristics of various animals in different regions are almost directly related to Mikael Alaihissalam. These are his arrangement tasks. History, by Allah's permission and command, serves this order. And there is a matter of customs, and he has been the one who has determined the customs among angels. That is to say, even in managing the relationship between angels, he performs his duties within the framework of rules that the angels live by. One of the angels most disliked by the devil is Mikael Alaihissalam, because when trees were being planted in paradise, Mikael Alaihissalam did not allow the devil to sow seeds, but as we will explain in due course, the devil still found a way to do what he wanted to do, of course, with the permission of Allah Almighty. Mikael Alaihissalam was also tasked with civilizing the jinn, and this struggle continued until the time of Nuh Alaihissalam as part of his mission concerning the jinn and the existence of all these other beings. If we looked at it from the perspective of the life of the Prophet Muhammad, we would see that he appeared 3 times in the dreams of Hazrat Umar, helping and guiding him during his caliphate. When they set out for Badr, he appeared in the dream of Hazrat Umar, helping him and informing him of some of the events he would encounter in battle. We will explain all of this in more detail in the later episodes, inshallah. Mikael Alaihissalam also played a role in enabling the noble companions to see the adhan of Muhammad, the call to prayer, in their dreams. He served until Hazrat Hassan to ensure that the miracles of the Prophet Muhammad ﷺ remained in people's minds. And as you know, questions arise today. How did the Prophet's hadiths remain so memorable? We can say that this is also one of the wisdoms and duties of Mikael Alaihissalam. Throughout this journey, we will recount all of this again and again, down to its finest details. Today, we have recounted to you the creation of Mikael Alaihissalam. Next episode, inshallah, we will talk about Azrael Alaihissalam. We will discuss his moment of creation and its connection to this journey. For now, take care.